Welcome back to Season 3 of The Influencers, where we bring you interviews with some of the most interesting and thoughtful voices shaping the digitally driven transformation at the intersection of law, business, and technology.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Influencers on digital transformation and law. I'm Leo von Gerlach, and with me today is Kishor Sridhar. Kishor is leading Kishor Consultants, one of the main consulting firms in the field of change management and leadership. Kishor has a long history of working with experts in the field, like, for example, Daniel Kahneman with his book, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. He himself wrote a couple of books on economical psychology and how to translate that into leadership and change management advisory. And it's absolutely great to have you today, Kishor.
Thank you for having me, Leo.
Kishor, let's dive right into it. And perhaps first a little bit about your background. What brought you into this field of change management, and in particular, change management in the digital field?
Well, I'm half Indian, half German. So as I always say, we Indians I really learned programming from the core in Bangalore. And so this is like sort of in our genes as half Indians, I would say. But on the other hand, I then was an engineer and civil engineer. And then after some time, I was asking myself, why are very reasonable people doing so unreasonable things? And I wanted to understand this further. And then I had the opportunity to study in the US psychology. Then I met Daniel Kahneman, and it hooked me because I understood that we are not so reasonable as we always believe that we are, and that understanding our irrational aspects actually helps us really grow and achieve what we want to achieve. And so this is basically my history.
So you got to know a lot of organizations, and you've seen a lot of the struggles in change management. So maybe you share with us what are one of the more common challenges that organizations face, and what are the more common reasons for that? Is that cultural, organizational, technical, a mix of that, something different?
It's interesting that you ask about the common aspects, because usually when I talk to a company, they usually ask me or they tell me their problems. And I feel like I've heard this like 1,000 times before. Usually it is the aspect that things, they are not really implemented as they should be implemented after some time. So they have maybe good ideas and they're connected to KPIs, but most of the companies, they lack the understanding of what actually people really want and how I can thrill people. How can I excite people to make change happen? There's more to it, because as I always say, if you start sports, why does someone start sports? Not to run maybe the half marathon in a certain time. There's a higher vision. So you actually need to catch people emotionally. This is always lacking. And then you need to break it down into daily aspects. And if you come to digitalization, it is more fear. It creates a lot of fear among people because they say, I can be replaced, or it creates a transparency, which scares me because suddenly people can see what I'm doing. And people may be even able to understand what I'm not doing very well. And so this is why I'm afraid to use digital tools or AI or whatever. So I might be replaced. And so these are the basic common aspects we usually have, that people don't understand the why, the vision, and then how should it be implemented, and how do I make sure that it's not like fading out during the normal working day, which we have.
So I understand organizational challenges easily translate then into individual challenges and certain fears.
Yeah.
And well, you spoke about those perceptions on an individual level. There may be then tools to work on those anxieties, on those perceptions, to get your arms around, to get it done.
Exactly. And for this, we need to understand the basic concept of AI and digitalization. Why are we doing this at all? And there's a reason, because it's a way of thinking. Usually, I tell every leader should understand, how can I make things happen easier, faster, and cheaper? And every person in my organization should have the same way of thinking. For this, we need to understand what is really important, what is urgent, and what is routine. Routine work can be done by AI or any other software. And what is important is something I can contribute as a human being. Urgent stuff is what pushes us around. Urgent stuff, we can maybe use AI to optimize it or computers to optimize it. But what is truly important and how much time do I invest into important work, into important tasks? And so the whole aspect of digitalization, of introducing AI is nothing but helping my staff, my people, and myself to focus on where I am best at and shovel free my time. And this people usually don't understand, and they're more hiding into routine work because it gives me a comfort zone. And so I'm doing my stuff as I always used to do. Because if I'm suddenly focusing on important work, this is where I'm really challenged. And so this is what we usually see in organizations.
That is interesting. So you try to make people see the importance of their work and even the beauty of their importance and their work. And what are the tricks to actually get people to see this light?
There's a very simple question I ask. Once you leave the company, what do you want others to say about you? What is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to say? I really changed. I made the difference. And this is down to who you actually are. And once you understand this about your people, you understand what is important to them. And if this aligns to your company, then it's perfect. Yeah, if it doesn't align to my company philosophy or what I want to achieve, not so good, not optimal. But basically below the line, it is about triggering and understanding what people really can contribute. And that's why I'm saying the area of AI, and when AI is now being rolled out more and more, people are scared, but I'm not scared, because I say it gives us the opportunity to focus on what we're really great at. And to understand what we're really great at, this is important work. It's important work, and this is what leaders need to do. And we need to understand, why are our people actually there? And what can AI do better? This is also the other question we have to face.
So that's kind of an awareness exercise. So why am I doing this? And once I can respond to that question, I see the kind of importance for me and the organization. And if that fits, all the better. Then let's ping that back to the organizational level and the leadership. And that's something you focus on in particular. What can leaders do to incentivize that transition, that journey of the individuals in the organization to arrive at these points?
This is basically transformational leadership, because everyone in the company needs to understand what is in there for me. This is basically it. And yes, we were talking a little bit on a sort of on a psychological, philosophical level just a few seconds ago, but it's there's money in it. Just there's benefit in it for everyone. It's not only money; it's how can I grow? I need to tell the people how can I grow, what helps them, and this is basically a transformation leadership. Is I define an aim together with my people. And when do we want to be there? And then individually, when do you want to be where? When do you want to be where? And then what is in there for you? And this is transformation leadership. Basically, you tell people what they get and what you give them and what they give back. And this is sort of a negotiation process on a monthly level. And this is what is lacking. The old thinking is that people come and they just love to work for you in your company. No, they have their career in mind. They have their individual needs in mind. And this is what you actually need to focus on, and to tell them what they get and what you give them and what they give back, to really have then a transformational spirit in your company. Everyone wants to grow.
That sounds as if you need a very big map and there's a strategy game just taking place and everything needs to fall into the right place.
Yeah, sure, Leo. I'm a soccer fan, yeah? And well, if you look at soccer is nothing else but really transforming every person to the better football player. And the football player understands I'm getting more out of it, because maybe in 3 years I'm going to play with a Champions League team. And this is what we need to be aware of. People won't stick with our companies. And but I need to give them the understanding what they get from me. And then they become real great players in my team. And they may even leave. This is the risk.
Just moving away for 1 second from soccer,
Okay.
which is not an easy thing to do, but just perhaps taking an example from other organizations, unlike sports, where you have just really gained some deeper experience of what we just talked about.
Yeah. For example, an engineering company. Yeah, we're consulting them now. We're at the very end of consulting them. Usually it's a cycle. There will be next project coming up very soon. What we did there is we tried to identify actually where do they want to be in 5 years. And then we broke it down to every department, to every level, and defined actual aims, including AI. And we helped each department understand how they can achieve their aims on their level. And we identified KPIs. And this is very striking, Leo. We're talking about AI and digitalization, but until now, many companies don't have really good KPIs. Really good KPIs, I don't mean like company overall KPIs, but KPIs I can impact as a person, as an employee, even on the lowest level. So what we usually do is, for example, this engineering company, we define AIs for every department and then for every person, which those persons can actually impact. And then we introduce the software accordingly so that it can measure the AI, so that people understand where I'm standing basically on a weekly level.
Speaking about fear, I see that it's not always easy for the individual if you have a KPI broken down on your individual head. But from the organizational points, it makes a lot of sense, and I just fully understand that. Perhaps moving slightly from here, in terms of change management on the one side in the traditional field and change management now with these intelligent, smart technologies, including generative AI, do you see a significant shift from your traditional work and how you went about your advisory as to what is happening now?
Yes and no. The work is the same. Because as a consultant, you just talked about fear and KPI, yeah? But as a consultant, what you're doing is you're the trusted advisor and you're helping people. This is something and I can do. AI helps me to give me more time, free me of unnecessary work so that I can focus on possibly clients, to be more there for them. So all these reports, all these protocols, all this tech stuff, this is taken over by AI. Even assessment of productivity taken over by AI. But the interpretation, this is actually what we are good at, my company. Interpretation of results and helping you and guiding you and leading you. This is actually the core business. This is why I wanted to become a consultant, because this is, I really love the psychology behind it and understanding why people are doing unreasonable things, as told before. This is something AI may be able to logically explain. We even ran some prompts around that, many prompts around that it can explain, but only human can really help people then to grow and become better. So if you ask me how this changed my industry and my work, it helped me focus more on why I actually wanted to become a consultant and how we can actually help companies. So this is my advice I give to every company. Focus on your core benefit, on the core value you bring to the table. And all the other stuff AI can do.
That's very interesting. And it's something that fully resonates with my own experience, that intelligent systems help you to become more self-aware and just align yourself with your own intentions more than you had been in a position before. So thank you. That's really very, very interesting. And perhaps where we now in this realm of drawing some more abstract lessons, if you take a step back from your advisory role and say, these are the things that you really have taken home that you would really like to give to somebody new in the business or of the next generation, are there some more just fundamental takeaways that you could pin down?
Now, if we really take a step back from business, and if you really ask me my opinion, It is about understanding who people really are. It is understanding our fallacies, our biases, our weaknesses, but also our strengths. And embrace people as they are. Embrace them as they are. I so often hear that someone doesn't like a colleague or some supervisor or the CEO, and they have this and that aspects. But below the line, we are all people. And I think the age of AI can help us focus more on people. And I would say the understanding of people is more important than ever. And focusing on that, this is really what the future brings. And why I'm looking forward to the future, because all the nasty stuff we as humans are not made for, like stupid work, will be taken off our shoulders. And what we're really made for is understanding each other and feeding each other's needs and build on that one. This is something where we will have more time if we use our time correctly.
Wonderful. So this is now my second takeaway. The first one, really just the technology helps us to become more self-aware. Now the second, the technology may help us going forward to focus more on people and people stuff. I think that is a just wonderful conclusion of that conversation, Kishor. And I thank you tremendously for these insights. Very, very valuable. So thank you once again. And actually, thank you everybody for tuning in. It was great to have you. And I hope you join us again for the next session of the Influencers, which is coming up soon. Until then, take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
If you're eager for more on the latest digital trends, visit our Digital Transformation Academy at engagepremium.hoganlovells.com/Digital Transformation Academy for interactive videos and our podcast archive, or our Digital Assets Hub at engagepremium.hoganlovells.com/resources/blockchain for thought leadership and guidance about all things digital assets.